My name is Leo Bauer, and I've lived a long life. 87 years. You see a lot in that time. You see joy. You see change. You see things you never thought possible. But when people ask me what the hardest moment of my life was, my mind doesn't go to the wars, or the lean years, or even losing my dear Clara. No, my mind goes to a single afternoon. An afternoon with my son, Thomas. Thomas was my only child, my pride and joy. From the moment he was born, I saw the world in him. He had his mother's bright eyes and my stubborn chin. I taught him how to fish, how to ride a bike, how to build things with his hands. I poured everything I had into that boy, my time, my savings, my hopes. I wasn't a rich man, but I made sure he never went without. College, his first car, the down payment on his first apartment. I was always there. I believed in him completely. He was a smart boy, sharp as a tack. Went into business, started a small tech company. At first, it was a shoestring operation, run out of his garage, just like in the stories. I go over with sandwiches and coffee, just to see him, to feel the buzz of his ambition. He was going to change the world, he said, and I believed him. I saw the fire in his eyes, the same fire I once had. The business grew faster than anyone expected. Soon, he moved into a proper office, hired staff. He was on the cover of local business magazines. Local boy makes good. I was so proud. I bought a dozen copies of every article. My son, the success story. He started talking about expanding, about a big new project that would take the company to the next level. He called it Project Horizon. It was all he could talk about. He said it required a huge investment, more than the banks were willing to lend to a company so new. He needed seed capital from someone who believed in him. That's when he came to me. We sat in my small living room, the same room where he'd taken his first steps. He spread out blueprints and financial projections. On the coffee table, the numbers were dizzying, full of jargon I didn't understand. But I understood the look in his eyes. It was a look of desperate hope. He asked for my life savings. Everything. The money I'd put away from my retirement, the nest egg Clara, and I had painstakingly built over 40 years of hard work. $200,000. It was every penny I had to my name. He said it was a loan, a short-term investment. He swore on his mother's memory that I would get it all back, doubled, within a year. It's a sure thing, Dad, he said. A sure thing. How do you say no to your own child? How do you look at the face you love more than anything and tell him you don't trust him? You don't. You can't. I looked at the photos on the Montelbys, Thomas as a baby, on his graduation day, at his wedding. This was my son, my legacy. So I said yes. The next day, I went to the bank and wired him every last cent. The bank teller, a young woman who knew me, looked concerned. Are you sure about this, Bauer? She asked. I just smiled and said, it's from my son. For the first few months, everything seemed fine. Thomas would call, excited, talking about new contracts and progress. He sent me a glossy brochure for Project Horizon. It looked impressive. Then, the calls became less frequent. When I'd reach him, he sounded stressed, distracted. Things are a little tight, Dad, he'd say. Just a small cash flow problem. It'll sort itself out. I told him not to worry, that I believed in him. The 1-year mark came and went. Then another 6 months. The money, let alone any profit, never appeared. My calls started going to voicemail. My texts went unanswered. I drove to his office, but the receptionist, a woman I didn't recognize, told me he was in a meeting. I waited for 2 hours in the lobby. He never came out. I knew something was wrong, deeply wrong. Finally, I got a letter in the mail. It wasn't from Thomas. It was from a law firm. It was a bankruptcy notice. Project Horizon had failed. The company was being dissolved. The assets were being liquidated to pay off the primary creditors, the banks, the big investors. My loan, as it was classified, was unsecured. I was at the bottom of the list. There was nothing left. It was all gone. The hardest day of my life was the day I went to his house to ask him about it. He had a beautiful home, a big place in the suburbs with a swimming pool, a home I had helped him buy. His wife answered the door. She wouldn't look me in the eye. "He's in the study, Leo," she whispered, then disappeared into the kitchen. I found him sitting behind a large, expensive desk, staring at a computer screen. He didn't turn round when I entered. The room was cold. "Thomas," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "The letter. Is it true?" He finally swiveled his chair to face me, and the look on his face. It shattered me. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't shame or remorse. It was annoyance. I was an inconvenience. A problem he had to deal with. "Look, Dad," he said, sighing. "It's just business. Sometimes things don't work out. I took a risk. It didn't pay off. I lost a lot too, you know." I just stared at him. "You lost a lot, Thomas. That was everything I had. That was your mother's and my entire life of work. Our security. My future." And then he said the words that will haunt me until the day I die. He stood up, adjusted his tie, and said, "Well, maybe you shouldn't have been so naive. It's not my fault you gave it to me." He didn't just lose my money. In that moment, he lost his father. The boy I had raised, the man I was so proud of, had vanished. In his place was a stranger, a cold, callous stranger who saw his father's love as a weakness to be exploited. It wasn't a business deal gone wrong. It was a son, looking his father in the eye and telling him he was a fool for loving him. That was the hardest moment. Not losing the money, but losing my son. I walked out of that house and I never went back. He's tried to call a few times over the years, sent a Christmas card once. I can't bring myself to respond. The wound is too deep, the betrayal too absolute. So now, I live simply. I get by on my small pension. I sold my house and moved into this little apartment. It's quiet. I have my books, my memories of Clara. Some days are harder than others. Some days, I look at an old photo and I can still see the little boy who held my hand and promised to always look after me. And I wonder, where did he go? Where did my son go? That is a question I will take with me to my grave. Thank you for listening to an old man's story. If you've ever felt the sting of betrayal, you're not alone. Sometimes, the deepest cuts come from the ones we hold closest. Remember to be kind and to cherish those who truly cherish you. Take care.